Welcome to the most triggering show on healing. This is your host, Ana Coeur. Welcome to the very first episode of the most triggering show on healing. So each week I'm going to answer a question that was left for me on my X account, on my Twitter. And the very first question that I'd like to answer is about whether changing our reactions constitutes as healing. So you may have been told, or may have read in a lot of books or content online that in order to heal, you need to shift yourself from being negative, having a negative perspective or a negative fear or belief, into something that's positive by reframing the way you think about something or the way you think about something. Now, in my book, this actually constitutes as not healing. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why. So let's say that we take an example of a person not liking rainy days. For whatever reason, rainy days makes them feel sad, depressed, maybe even scared. And it could have come from an actual event that happened in their past, maybe not from this lifetime, maybe from this lifetime. Maybe it was a movie that they saw, maybe it was a story that happened to somebody. Whatever the case may be, there is a reaction that whenever there's a rainy day, this person changes the way they experience life into something that's considered negative or depressing or sad, whatever it may be. So if you look at the advice that's popularly out there, they tell you that you need to reframe and change the way you feel about rainy days. So we'll tell you, you can start seeing rainy days as a blessing. You could see it as positive, to see it as the earth raining in joy, or nurturing the earth and helping the earth to continue life in any number of positive spins. But when we do that, this is actually not healing. And the reason I say that is because a person is merely trying to change how they think about something psychologically. Whenever you work on your psychology, which are your thoughts and feelings, this is not actually healing. Because when we work on our thoughts and feelings, it really has no bearing most of the time on the way our energy system is functioning. A person can try to feel peaceful, blissful, and we see this all the time in the healing or spiritual community where people try to engineer themselves to be peaceful and blissful. And what do we see with their energy? They appear to be blissful or peaceful on the surface, but underneath, if you read their energy structure, it is a completely different story. All the ones that I've seen, the energies are usually warped, distorted, disturbed, rotting, boiling with rage underneath, and whatever has been repressed, and whatever they've not been able to reprogram. Reprogramming is actually a way to say that you're brainwashing yourself from going from being negative to quote unquote being positive. Positive and negative are psychological outcomes. They are symptoms. They're not the origin. So when we talk about origin, getting back to why a person might be afraid of rainy days, you could say, once again, it could be from this life, it could be from past life. We don't know, and we don't have to know. And a lot of times when we are psychologically healing, people try to diagnose, why am I scared of rainy days? What is it about it that gets me scared and so worked up? And they try to figure out the reasons, the events, the people, the relationships, the memories that trigger this feeling. But in my book, that still constitutes as not healing, because the first root cause of any symptom is still root cause. As long as we're working on root cause, we're not actually healing. We're only managing the symptoms, or we're trying to change the symptoms. It's kind of like saying you baked a chocolate cake, but you don't like the way the chocolate cake turned out. So you're trying to morph it into a carrot cake. But how do you do that? People are trying to morph the outcome into a different outcome. But meanwhile, the entire process is still generating the same chocolate cake, if you will. And even if you go into the first level of root cause, it's still, to me, just the symptom. So when people are trying to reprogram themselves or brainwash themselves from negative to positive, it looks something like this. I don't like feeling sad or angry, in pain or fearful. So I'm going to make a list of what I want to feel. I want to feel positive. I want to feel blessed. I want to feel grateful, happy, joyful, inspired, creative, thriving. They make a list, and then they proceed to try to wire this into themselves. What does this sound like? If you ask me, sounds like artificial intelligence, where you want to program exactly what you want to think, how you want to feel. You curate the experience that you have inside by only choosing your favorite adjectives, your favorite experiences, your favorite expressions, and then we're going to leave the rest behind, quote unquote. We're going to let it go. But does it actually work? Now, if you ask me, it never works. If it works for 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. But after that time has passed, what happens? You go back to the way you were before, always, because we're only working on the level of the symptom. And when we're working on the level of the symptom, we start to hear people say things like this. Healing never ends. Healing happens in spirals. What's actually happening, it's not that healing never ends. Healing does end. It's that their healing never started because they're only working on the level of symptom. Now, reprogramming and brainwashing isn't healing. It's actually forming or trying to engineer a sort of artificiality or artificial intelligence within you. Like I said, I don't like the way I am fearful and ingrateful. So I'm going to affirm every day I'm filled with gratitude and abundance. The universe is always giving me, showering me with abundance. Meanwhile, what happens? All the fear is still inside. Nothing has actually changed, but you're trying to engineer your surface thoughts and emotions. And this process, not only does it not start healing, it also never ends. Because after those supposed 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, you go back to the way you were before and you have to start all over again. I'm happy. I'm abundant. God damn it. I'm grateful. I'm filled with gratitude. Damn it. This is not healing. Endless repetition is not healing. It's trying to manufacture something within you that is not already default. In today's world, all of this is considered healing. As long as you're trying, as long as you're trying to be positive, you're healing. That's what they tell you. Every self-help book tells you. And it's the same with meditation. What happens with meditation? It's the same thing. It's an endless repetition. You meditate today, you got to meditate tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, the next year, next decade goes on and on and on. How many times have we seen on the internet from accounts that say, I've been meditating for 30 years. I've been meditating for 40 years, such and such. Why? Why do they have to meditate? Repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly is because when you stop, you always go back to the way you were before. That's what happens when people work on the level of the symptom. They cannot stop. People who stop meditating, you see accounts online that say this, I fell off the wagon. I meditated for a year. Everything was great. And then I stopped and now I feel crappy again. I got to get back on the train to meditate every day. I got to carve out time every day. If I don't meditate, I cannot get through the day. Why? Because they're managing their surface symptoms. The moment they stop, they always go back to the way they were before every time, without fail. This is how psychology and energy works. No one, practically no one, is healing right now in the healing space or in the spiritual community. Why? They're only working on the level of symptom, reprogramming, brainwashing, engineering, manufacturing, and endless repetition. We can't call that healing. We can only call it trying. So what is healing? Healing, and I'm going to reframe this completely differently for you and from any other content or book that's out there, because most people are only teaching healing before they started healing. Healing does not mean changing from negative to positive. As long as you're changing from negative to positive, it means that negative is still there. If the negative wasn't there, it negates the need to be positive. If you're not negative, there's no need to be positive. The need to be positive means the negative is still there. The need to feel loved, the need to feel grateful and abundant is because at every moment, something in your mind pulls you back to the way you are, to the way you were before, which is not grateful, not feeling loving, not positive, and etc. True healing is not changing from positive to negative. True healing is where you go from something is there. I'm scared of those rainy days. They make me sad and they make me angry and scared. Something's there. And it changes to nothing. There's absolutely nothing. Rainy day, no reaction. Sunny day, no reaction. Snowing, no reaction. Raining, no reaction. Hail, thunder, storm, tornado, lightning, no reaction. There's no need to be positive, no need to see rain as a blessing, as a life lesson. There's none of that is needed because there is zero reaction. When there's zero reaction, there's no need to try to be different, to meditate to be different, to just make yourself be different, God damn it. No need at all. And that's what true healing is. And that is what I'm teaching on this show. And to learn more about my content, please remember to subscribe to my podcast. I will continue this conversation and reveal more as we go. You can also visit my website at anacoeur.org. That's ANACOEUR.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.